Scarface trivia. For those who don't know, Scarface from 1983 is a remake from the 1932 film of the same name. The Spanish title of the film is El Precio del Poder, which translates to The Price of Power, and was originally going to be filmed in Chicago, but couldn't because of budget constraints. If De Palma hadn't read and liked the script for the film, he would have instead directed Flashdance. The name Tony Montana, more specifically Montana, comes from American football player Joe Montana. Oliver Stone liked the name so much that he decided to add it to his script. The character of Tony Montana is one of Al Pacino's favourite characters he has played. This is pretty much the only time he is referred to as Scarface, despite the fact that it's in Spanish. If you pay close enough attention to Tony's scar throughout the entire film, it gradually starts to disappear within his face, to the point where it's hardly noticeable. Speaking of the name Scarface, it was also a nickname of the infamous Italian-American gangster Al Capone. Pacino asked director of photography, John A. Alonzo, to speak to him only in Spanish, to help stay in character. I love this attention to detail that Al Pacino portrays for Tony. It just shows how unsophisticated he is. The bowls of sliced lemon served by these waiters are used to wash your fingers, but instead Tony just takes the lemon and eats it. I mean, to be honest, I would do the same thing too. Pacino wanted Glenn Close to play Elvira, but this is going to sound pretty brutal. The producers didn't think she was sexy enough. Ouch. De Palma was a bit hesitant to cast Pfeiffer, due to the lack of experience with acting in her career. However, she has appeared in a few films and television series before starring in Scarface. She was in Grease 2 and Charlie Chan and the Curse of the Dragon Queen. Jesus Christ, what a mouthful. In case if it wasn't obvious, this screen was unscripted and very genuine. Considering that these two don't have a strong connection, this is one of or the only time that she smiles at him for something silly. Michelle Pfeiffer accidentally cut Al Pacino's face during production, so now he will be double Scarface, or Scarface times 2, Scarface squared. Cara di cicatriz binaria. Apparently, Steve Bauer got the role without even auditioning. Casting director Alex Gordon saw Bauer and thought that he was right for the role, and both De Palma and Bregman agreed. I suppose when I look at him, I would also say yes. I mean, just look at that chiseled face.
Yeah.
Stephen Bauer is the only real-life Cuban to play as a Cuban. Miriam Cullen is Puerto Rican. F. Murray Abrian, whose character is supposed to be of Latin descent, is Syrian-American and Italian-American. And Angel Salazar is Cuban-American. Miriam Cullen is only 4 years older than Al Pacino. Jesus, and we thought Forrest Gump's mother was just as bad. And just to remind you again, she's playing as his mother, and the two actors are 4 years apart. That's slang for cocaine. One of the few things that Pacino learned while studying the Cuban accent.
Manny, look at this pelican fly. Come on, pelican.
This line was used by Pacino's language coach to get the Cuban accent right.
Say hello to my little friend.
His little friend is a M16 with a M203 40mm grenade launcher attached to the barrel. The guns here are obviously firing blanks. However, Al Pacino had badly burned his hand during production and had to close off for a few weeks. The rumour hasn't been solved, but supposedly the stand-in drug that was used in the film was powdered milk instead of cocaine. No one from the cast or crew member has actually stated what exactly is the substance for the cocaine. Whatever it was, it has caused problems for Pacino's nasal passages. In 2015, Pacino has stated, "For years I have had things up in there. I don't know what happened to my nose, but it's changed." Well, at least Pacino was smart enough not to put crayons up through his nose. This is a nice looking Porsche. However, in the original script, he was meant to buy a red Jaguar. Tony's car here is a Porsche 928, released sometime between the year of 1976 to 1995. This car is a 1983 Cadillac sedan DeVille, and this car here is a 1972 Citroën DS21. At the time, Pacino wasn't actually sure how this film was going to be made. More to the point, who was going to direct it. So he asked his Godfather Part 2 friend, Robert De Niro, to share advice as to which director was best for this script. De Niro suggested De Palma, but it has been stated that if Pacino didn't end up taking the part, De Niro would, with the help of one of his frequent collaborating directors, Martin Scorsese. That would have been pretty interesting to see, actually. Filming took 24 weeks to shoot. For the screenplay, Oliver Stone was paid $300,000. At that time, he was the highest paid screenwriter. MPAA gave the film an X rating for a few obvious reasons. The film had to be cut to get the R rating approval, but Brian De Palma refused to cut any more of the film. Both De Palma and Martin Bregman had to arrange a hearing for the MPAA to reflect on the film of its themes. For the third cut of the film, the arbitrators gave it the R rating approval. But De Palma was adamant that if the third cut got an R rating, then the first cut should have gotten an R rating as well, hoping that the studio wouldn't even know the difference between the two. The whole process took a long time to do, and it was very infuriating. It's a little hard to see, but this photo shows the disembodied hand hanging over the shower curtain, removed for no shit reasons. Now, Brian De Palma is the director of Scarface. However, this scene here was actually directed by Steven Spielberg, who just so happened to be visiting and thought, you know what, I'll have a go. De Palma and Spielberg are known to be great friends. I'm glad that this didn't happen, but in 2003, upon its 20th anniversary, the studio wanted to change the soundtrack so that rap songs can be inspired by the film, and thankfully De Palma refused. I quite like the original soundtrack, why change something good already? Scarface was one of the major influences behind Grand Theft Auto, and more particular Grand Theft Auto Vice City. There are even some homages in some of the games that pay a tribute to the film. In 1983, Scarface was ranked 16th of the highest grossing film. Top 50 cult films of all time ranked Scarface 8th in Entertainment Weekly. Over in the UK, Scarface was number 1 in the British box office for 3 consecutive weeks. Tony's mother, Salsa, and Elvira are the only main characters to survive throughout the film, as pretty much everyone we love and know dies, just like Evangelion. Let's count the amount of times that Tony Montana has been shot on screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The slogan, "The world is yours," pays homage to the flash billboard sign in the original Scarface film in 1932. Plus, I love this scene's dark irony right here. Tony Montana is shot multiple times and dies in the pool, with the globe above him saying, "The world is yours." Pretty much saying, oh dear, I've been killed. Oh well, everything is yours now. No use to me if I'm dead. This isn't trivia, but I thought I'd just share this with you guys. Not long ago, I did meet the actor Steve Bauer, who plays the character of Manny in Scarface. And I have asked him what was it like to work with Brian De Palma and Al Pacino, a great director and great actor combined. In his words, he has said that him, Al Pacino, and Brian De Palma shared a unique chemical bond. But no joke, they seriously had a great time working together, and they got along so well that at sometimes they stayed in character throughout production. He is a lovely man who enjoys what he does, and always has great and funny stories to tell. I just found this piece of disturbing trivia that's a bit fucked up. The actress playing the girl in the blue bikini during the chainsaw sequence, Tammy Lynn Leppert, disappeared on the 6th of July 1983. From what we know, Lampert had a severe breakdown on set while watching a violent scene. She retired to her trailer and expressed to her family and friends about the fears of alleged money laundering and people supposedly wanting to kill her. Given to what the film is all about and what it portrays, I don't entirely blame her for being a bit paranoid. Not taking any chances, she decided to quit shortly afterwards. 5 months later, after the film's release in the United States, is when she disappeared. Her disappearance was looked upon in the television series Unsolved Mysteries. Her mother was interviewed for the segment, but she passed away a few years later. Her sister, on the other hand, is still on the lookout, and on the time of this recording, she is still missing, as it's been 40 years and 21 days. I'll have to admit, this is perhaps the most interesting and disturbing piece of trivia I had to read out, and I thought I would bring it up to provide a bit more awareness for her disappearance. Even though it has been 40 years, and there's probably not much that we can do of now, I think it's important that we hear out on her tragedy, and we'll probably never know what exactly has happened to her, or if she will ever be found. Normally I just end the trivia video with a tagline from the movie, but I'm not going to do that. I just can't see myself doing it after reading this. But to the family and friends of Tammy Lynn Leppert, I can only hope that you find closure after all these years.